is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys once and for all, and I have other videos on this topic as well, but this is the latest improved version. What's the best juicer to buy, or what juicer should you buy? Right? I'm considered the juicing expert. You know, I've been selling juicers over 20 years, been juicing over 20 years myself, and I basically use all the major types, and actually most of all the major brand juicers on the market today. I make many videos on YouTube, so you can check those out. I have over 500 videos on this YouTube channel comparing and contrasting different juicers against each other so that you could find out which one may be the best one for you. That being said, my in-depth comparisons don't really help unless you got your juicer selection narrowed down to what style machine you want, because there are so many different types. In this video, I hope to answer the question, what kind of juicer, what juicer should you buy? And I wish the answer was that simple. I wish I could, everybody that emailed me said, John, what juicer should I buy? Is that a good one? I wish I could just write it back and say, buy this one, it's the best. I mean, truly, I really wish that, because it would make my life a lot easier than trying to explain everything and try to actually make, give the person who's emailing me all the options, all the factors they may want to consider before selecting the best juicer for them. Because here's the thing, the best juice for me may not be the best juicer for you. This is illustrated by buying shoes, right? If you go to the shoe store and ask the shoe salesman, I want the best pair of shoes you got. Well, then the shoe salesman, unless he's dumb, is going to probably ask you, well, what are you doing? Are you going to a nightclub? Do you want to dance? Are you going to, do you have a job where you're on your feet all day like a postman or a postwoman? Are you going to go running or hiking or, mountain climbing? Each one of those events take like a little bit different type of shoe, right? You wouldn't want to use like a rock climbing shoe, I don't know, for biking or something, and you want biking shoes for biking. I mean, or you want flats, for comfortable work shoes. You wouldn't want to wear high heels, or you wouldn't want to wear high heels if you were going on a 10K marathon. That'd be kind of insane, unless you want to make a spectacle of yourself. So the same thing applies to juicers, right? I want you guys to get the right juicer for your specific needs, right? And the only way to know your specific needs is to make a list, right? So I want you guys right now to take out a piece of paper and a pen and start making some notes, right? These notes will be critical so that you can select the right juicer for you, right? And so here's the thing, right? Every juicer is a little bit different, right? And I want you guys to, number one, come up with the criteria that is most important to you to have in a juicer. I'll be explaining these juicers in a second, but I want you guys to come up with your criteria first, right? Come up with our criteria of what's most important. Are you juicing because you want to simply lose weight, right? Then you need to drink juice, right? Maybe you want to have the fastest juice. So maybe you could say, I want the fastest juicer, right? Because I don't want to waste time in the kitchen. Juicing could take so long. Maybe I owned a juice in the past and I never used it because it took so long. So you could write down fast juicing, Another thing that might be important to you is cleaning. John, I want to juice fast, but the other thing is I don't want it too hard to clean. So write down, easy to clean, right? Or fast cleaning, right? Another thing that might be important to you guys is actually the highest nutrition levels. Because if you're going to take the time to juice, you're going to put the effort in, you want to get every last iota of those vitamins and minerals, and more importantly, the phytochemicals out of the juice. And different juicers will extract more or less of certain phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals. So write that down, right? Another thing that may be important to you guys is yield. John, man, I'm on food stamps. I don't want to be like wasting my pulp. The pulp that comes out, if it's coming out wet, then I'm wasting my money. I want to come out as dry as possible. So here's the thing. All the juicers that you guys are seeing today will leave some wetness in the pulp. Some more than others, and it depends on what you're juicing. Like, in general, the Green Star Pro is the most will extract the most yield out of any of the juicers here today. But if you want even more yield, you could spend more money and spend $2,300 on a pure juicer, and that gets the pulp sawdust dry, right? And so it all depends on your, write down budget, right? As we're talking about $2,300 juicers, which, maybe not my favorite because the price is so high. I'd rather you guys get something like this and actually put the other $1,000 into like a nice backyard garden so you guys can be growing your own food so that you have an abundant source of the highest quality food you go out and pick and bring inside and put in your juicer, so you're not worried about, I got to get every last ounce out, because you got a garden like, my garden's full all year long. I have always something growing, always something I could harvest, always something I could juice. and I have extra leaves and extra produce that I always have laying around that I can juice, so that I can juice, right? Another thing that might be important to you guys is, can it juice X the best, right? What is X? Solve for X. Well, X is the produce you want to juice, right? So say, John, I'm on the medical medium celery juice program, and I don't really care if the juicer could juice anything else, but it has to juice celery like the best. Well, write that down, right? Anyways, I want you guys to come up with a criteria of the most important for you. Some of you guys' criteria might be, John, the juicer has to cost under $300 because I only have a $300 limit, and that might be a criteria for some of you guys. You might have a criteria of, John, I need a quiet juicer. What's the quietest juicer? I don't really care anything else. I want the quietest one because that's the most important to me. Maybe on the other hand, you hate your roommates and you want the loudest juicer, so you can write down, I want the loudest juicer. Anyways, hopefully you're still taking notes and writing some of these down, the ones that are at least the most important to you. Another thing that might be important to you is, John, I don't want to have to cut my produce up. That bothers me so much. I don't want to dice everything up into little cubes or whatever. I want to have a nice large feed chute so I can push whole produce items or simply just drop whole apples in without having to pre-cut them, right? Well, write that down too, right? And also I want you guys to think of other criteria of things that you really must have and that are important for you to have in a juicer. I've gone over all the major ones that I could think of off the top of my head. Another criteria could be, John, I want a juicer that I could make a glass of juice and clean up and be done in 15 minutes, right? Write it down. Whatever kind of crazy ideas or whacked out ideas you have in your head about juicers, write it down on your paper, right? Another criteria that might be important for you is, John, I want a juicer that makes a juice without a lot of fiber in there. I don't like drinking pulp. Or on the other hand, you might be a person that likes drinking pulp. I'm kind of neutral. I can drink pulp. I don't really care. But in general, I like to strain out my pulp. And, most of the slow juicers on this side will produce some pulp in the juice. And this also is dependent on what you're juicing, right? And I guess the other factor is, I want you guys to write down, we're going to get into that, some of the produce items you're going to be juicing most, but that's the second major list that we're going to get into, okay? So now that you guys have your criteria list of what's the most important things for you, I want you guys to order them in number of importance. So say of all the things I mentioned, and maybe you came up with a few more, order them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe the top 5. If you want, you can go to the top 10 or just put all the ones in order that you have from 0 to 10, or maybe you got 20 different things that you want in a juicer. I don't really know. But just order them. So this way you know what the most important factor for you is, the second most important factor for you, the third most important factor for you, so that as I go on and move on in this video, you could kind of narrow down your choices based on what I'm showing you guys about each of the machines, okay? So that's number 1, finding what you want in a juicer. Number 2, most important thing to select the right juicer for you is to write down the produce you will be juicing. Most important thing, right? A juicer is not a juicer is not a juicer, right? A car is not a car is not a car, right? You could have a sports car and it could go really fast, right? But it's not good at hauling particle board, right, at all, unless it's a convertible and you could put it in the back or something, and a sports car is not good for hauling your kids around if you got a family of 8, right? And so likewise, right, certain juicers are better or worse at juicing certain items, so I really want you guys to be focused on exactly what you're going to juice. John, I'm going to juice 80% celery, 20% leafy greens. I'm not juicing any fruit. I'm going to juice sprouts and wheatgrass, but that's it. Or maybe, John, I'm just going to juice fruit, man. I'm on the Robert Morris program. I'm going to juice a lot of pineapple and apples and grapes, and I just want a juicer for fruit. Okay, write that down. Write down specific recipes even and the percentages of what. So, how I like to define this is I like to have a few categories of produce items that are able to juice, because the texture of the produce item is different, and depending on the texture, that's going to determine if that produce item will juice better or worse in one of the machines. So the general categories of vegetables or produce to juice are, number 1, roots. So root vegetables are like carrots or like jicama or like radishes, like beets. These are all root vegetables. You know, rutabagas, you know, parsnips. These are all root vegetables. So, you know, what percentage of root vegetables will you be juicing? Second category are the fruit category. Now, by fruits, I mean traditional fruits like apples and oranges, watermelons and cantaloupes, but also fruity type vegetables. So fruity type vegetables are vegetables with seeds. So for example, bell peppers would be fruity vegetables. Tomatoes are fruity vegetables. Cucumbers are fruity vegetables. Even zucchinis are fruity vegetables. So have a selection of fruity vegetables, or just fruits, including fruity vegetables. Yes, they're fruity. All right, so, and then the next category I want you guys to have is leafy greens, sprouts, and microgreens. I lump these all together because generally, if a juicer is good at juicing sprouts, wheatgrass, and leafy greens, or one or the other, they're good at juicing all of them, right? And some juicers are better than juicing those better or worse, right? And then the last category is the category for other vegetables. What are other vegetables? Other vegetables are maybe like broccoli and cauliflower that don't really fit into like leafy greens, you know, because those are, I think of like kale and collards. And I'll also actually put celery in with the leafy greens category. Things like cabbage might be like, it's kind of like a leaf, but it isn't. It's its own thing, the cabbage, you know, or maybe like broccoli and cauliflower, right? Those are like flowers, actually. Those can be juiced. Those are excellent to juice. The stems are really rich in the minerals. You should probably juice those, but that has a lot different texture than the broccoli leaves, which can also be juiced, or similar to kale. So now we have how many categories? We got roots, we got fruits and fruity vegetables, we got leaves, and we have other vegetables. So we have 4 main categories. I think that covers all of them. And so now I want you guys to basically come up with like what percentage of each category will be juicing. Maybe you'll be juicing 50% out of the root category and 50% out of the leafy green category. And John, I'm never going to do fruity vegetables because, or I mean fruity vegetables or fruits because I'm prejudiced against them or whatever. I mean, I don't care what your weird thoughts, but come up with a rationale or like the percentages. And you know, the other vegetable category is probably going to be lower unless you have like ulcers, which they've shown in testing and testimonials I've heard that people with ulcers are helped by cabbage. You know, maybe you're one of the people like, John, I don't know what the heck I'm going to juice, man. So then just put 25, 25, 25, and 25, because that means you're going to juice pretty much everything and you don't know the really amounts, right? But if you do have an inkling for what you think you're going to juice, maybe you're on a budget and you don't have a lot of money, right? What's the cheapest thing to juice in the whole world? Well, I'll tell you the 2 things that are the cheapest and the healthiest for you guys to juice, and you guys should juice if you don't have a lot of money and you want to get into juicing. 2 things, carrots and cabbage. Actually, specifically the red or purple cabbage, right? These, especially the carrots, are super cheap. And you know, so then if you're on a budget and you don't know what to juice and you don't have a lot of money to buy stuff, right? Jack up your root percentage and jack up your other vegetable percentage, because the cabbage, these are the most healing foods on the planet, and they also come at the lowest price. Leafy greens, on the other hand, they can get quite expensive unless you want to wild harvest them, right? Find out what wild foods or, you know, things are available near you, and you could go out into the local unsprayed park or local forest and harvest dandelions. Maybe you could harvest dandelions out of your lawn if you don't spray them. Even the grass that you're growing in your front lawn, if you didn't spray it with chemicals or put pesticides on it or anything like that, your neighbor's not spraying anything, you could harvest that and juice your grass, right? Yeah, you heard of wheatgrass, you could buy it for, you know, whatever, $15, $20 a tray, or you could go out and harvest some fresh cut grass out of your lawn and put that in. Now, I wouldn't be juicing like a ton of grass, but you know, hey, if you want to add a handful in when you make a juice, that's not a problem. I know this guy, the crazy grass man. Anyways, it's a whole nother topic. So, anyways, so now that you guys got this list here, you got the most important things for you and that are important for you to have in a juicer, and you got your list of like what percentage of produce. Now we're going to actually get into the juicers and then explain which juicers will juice certain produce items better than others. And I'm also going to tell you guys some of the features, the pros and the cons of all these machines that are sitting here today. Now, this is basically a representation of some of the popular styles of juicers on the table, including the centrifugal ejection style. This is a machine that's commonly available at department stores. We actually only sell very few models of the centrifugal ejection because personally I believe they're a waste of money. And we'll go into that. And on this side we have actually our 3 best-selling slow juicers that we sell at Discount Juicers. Okay, so right here we got the Omega NC800. This one is called a horizontal single auger juicer. Next we have the twin gear juicer. This is the Green Star Pro juicer that we have here today. And actually this is in order of when they were released or came out into the world or were invented, right? So this guy came out first, then the single auger, then the twin gear came out, and then later on the vertical auger juicer came out. This is the Omega BSJ843. Each one of these are right in its own, or is the best in its own sense. So if you really are rich, you want to actually buy one of each, because then you got all your bases covered. You know, one day you might feel like using this one day you might feel like using that one day you might feel like using this one. And actually, for me personally, I own all the machines that you guys are seeing today, but actually in general I use this one the most. And then for certain specific situations I may use my Green Star Pro, or sometimes I may even use the Omega NC800. It just depends on my specific needs and actually what I'm juicing that day. Kind of like how many pairs of shoes do you have, especially if you're a lady, okay? So starting off with the centrifugal ejection machine, right? Some of the pros of this style machine is, number one, it's fast, right? It's fast. This is the fastest juicer in the West, maybe even in the East, all right? You can have a glass of carrot juice in under a minute, no problem. I've done these tests, I've timed it, hands down, right? It is a little bit more challenging to clean. There's a lot of screen holes that you have to like basically scrub with a brush to get them clean. Generally they clean up fairly easily, not too difficult. Another thing, I guess another pro about this is that it will handle certain produce items and make a fairly good yield on certain produce items, such as a hard vegetable. So hard vegetables like carrots, it actually gets a higher yield than actually all the other juicers, except maybe this guy right here will actually probably beat it in yield, and also actually this one will get a higher nutrition. So aside from that, some of the, and another pro about this machine is that these are a low price machines, right? So if you're on a budget, you know, these machines cost less than any of the other styles. Now I do want to caution you guys, most of the high-speed centrifugal ejection machines also have a short warranty, you know, and that might be another consideration that I didn't talk about earlier, is how long is a warranty? You know, you want to invest in something, good, not some throwaway cheap piece of garbage made in China, you know, that you're going to use for a month or two and then it's going to fail and then you can't get service for it, then you have to basically buy a new one, right? All the machines on this side of the table actually have a 15-year warranty. So that means for the next 15 years you're going to be guaranteed your juicing, and these are tried and true machines. That means that they've been put through the ringer, they've been out already for many years, they've worked out all the bugs, and in general you're going to have very little problems with these guys if you use them properly. And I got to underscore if you use them properly, because if you don't use them properly, you could actually lose all your hair. Well, because you might get frustrated at the juicer, alright? So yeah, long warranty. So this, actually the Breville only has a 1-year warranty, as many of the other high-speed machines do. Now some of the cons, probably the biggest con of me on this machine is that it's actually quite loud. It's the loudest juicer in the West. It's also the fastest. And the other con to me on the Breville is that it actually lowers the nutritional quality of the juice, right? If you take a look at the juice that comes out of a Breville compared to like one of these machines, and actually in a recent video I juiced cucumbers, and actually all these machines, I'll post a link down below to that video, you could see that the cucumber juice was a little almost like looking like water. It didn't have a lot of nutrition in there. Yeah, it's definitely better than drinking water, but you know, I'd much rather have juice out of one of these slow machines that makes a lot higher quality juice. You know, this is especially important if you're trying to heal some kind of disease or situation that you have. You know, in my opinion, you know, our bodies literally heal themselves. The juice can help by nourishing and giving our body the nutrition it needs to heal itself, based on the, you know, studies and my research. But what's more important are the phytonutrients and phytochemicals, right? These are like the antioxidant properties of the produce, the lycopene, the carotenoids, the zeaxanthin, the lutein. All these big fancy words that you don't really need to know, but you need to know that these are the colors of the produce, you know, and we want to preserve the color. So the deeper, richer the color of the produce, the juice you're making, right? In general, the more healing capabilities it will have. So guys, I want you guys always to juice some really deep colored, rich produce, you know, whether that's purple carrots or dark green kale instead of like light iceberg, you know, light green lettuce. There's still nutrients in there, but the kale or dinosaur kale, even better, dark green, right? Even better for you. So yeah, this tends to oxidize some of those nutrients and lowers them based on scientific published studies that I've covered in previous episodes, all right? Another thing I don't like about the high-speed juicer is that it doesn't handle some of the most important produce items you should be juicing, right? The leafy greens, if you have a high percentage of leafy greens that you're going to be juicing, while this machine will juice leafy greens, it does a very poor job at it, actually. It'll kick out whole pieces and whole chunks of leafy greens. It's almost like you're cutting up your salad and it leaves big chunks of salad, in there. And so this is just not effective at the leafy greens. It's most effective at the carrots, decent with the other vegetable category, and mediocre with the fruits. If you put an orange segment in there, it'll spit out the whole orange segment. It'll be actually quite wet. It'll get some juice out. It's also quite aerated. So actually that's a pro and a con of this machine. This machine actually makes a fairly pulp-free juice. That's a pro if you don't like pulp. It's a con if you like pulp. But the other thing is that it puts a lot of air in the juice, and this changes the flavor and the taste. I did taste testing when I had a whole audience in front of me. This juicer against this juicer juicing watermelon, and people could totally taste the difference between this and this. The juice out of this one tasted so much better. So also that's another criteria you could have. John, I want the best tasting juice. Generally, I'll tell you the secret, the best tasting juice is the juicer that pulls out the most nutrition, because nutrition is the flavor of the juice that you're tasting, right? If the juice tastes like water, probably not as many nutrients in there compared to a juice that tastes really rich and full-bodied and tastes a lot better, all right? So that's the Breville juice fountain or centrifugal ejection style machines. Next, on to the Omega NC800. Actually, I want to explain how these machines work. So, how this machine works is basically there's a high, fast spinning blade in here. Oh, and another con of this machine is that these blades will dull over time, and you have to buy a replacement blade. Hopefully the company is in business still that you can buy a replacement blade. Some companies don't even sell replacement blades, and I know Breville actually has been out of stock on this replacement blade for some time now. Replacement blades can be like $40 to $60, and you're supposed to replace them every year, but nobody tells you that, because as you're putting items in, there's basically these teeth that basically shred up or micro shred the produce, kind of like you're grating carrots for your salad. This micro grates them, and as it micro grates them, it basically bursts open the cell walls and the juice is released, which then is flung through this fast spinning screen and then is flung out to the front of the machine. So this works on centrifugal force, and because of that there's a lot of air whirring around here, which actually oxidizes the juice, in my opinion, and also adds air to the juice that you're going to be drinking. And then it actually then it kicks out the pulp, into a hopper in the back, all at a loud noise. Some people have described this machine as an airplane taking off in their kitchen. All right. Next, on to the Omega NC800, and this style is called the single auger machine, horizontal, and that's because this machine just has a little single auger. So this is the auger, and basically what happens is it spins. So this one actually just kind of grates, shreds, and ejects. And this one actually basically is kind of like grinds. So you put the produce in here, and a piece is chunked off, and then it moves down the auger, and basically the passageways get smaller and smaller and smaller until the produce is literally crushed, ground, and squeezed, and the juice comes out. And then in which case the produce runs down through the screen, and then anything that's juice will then drop out these holes of the screen. Anything that's pulp will come out the front of the screen. And on the initial crush, if juice is released, it comes out this first stage of holes right there on the bottom. Now I like this machine because it actually is a lot quieter, and this is the first kind of single auger or slow juicer. Unlike the Breville next door, that machine runs at 10,000 plus RPMs. This slow juicer here, a little bit hard to disassemble when I'm behind it, runs at about 80 RPM, so it's a lot quieter, right? The pros of this machine are a lot higher nutrition than the Breville, and this machine is probably the most effective at juicing straight leafy greens, because literally this machine does not aerate when juicing leafy greens. Well, very little. Every juicer will add some air to the juice, but this juicer adds very little when doing straight leafy greens. Whether you're doing medicinal herbs like cannabis, whether you want to juice basil or kale or watercress, gotu kola, just standard lettuce, romaine, wheatgrass, sprouts, and microgreens. This is a style machine you want to get if you have a high percentage of greens on your list. So I like it. Also, I like this because it also has a 15-year warranty, and I like this. One of the pros of this machine is the number one thing on your list was like, John, I gotta have the easiest to clean juicer, because if it ain't, I ain't using it. This is the easiest to clean juicer in the world that I've tested. I'll post a link down below to the video I made. This guy takes me 80 seconds to clean, no joke. I even time it and make a video so you guys can see the process. 80 seconds. If you guys can't deal with 80 seconds cleaning, you just need to go buy your juice at Starbucks or Whole Foods or something. Juice bar. Alright? So yeah, easiest to clean. Now this machine does take some time to use. You have to push each produce item in as the auger revolves, 80 revolutions per minute. It takes a chunk off. So it does take a little bit of time to feed each produce item in, so your overall juicing time may be a little bit longer, but the cleaning time is going to be short. This machine, as I said, does really well on the leafy greens, makes a high quality juice. And then on the root vegetables, actually the root vegetables is where this machine doesn't really shine so well, right? This machine, in general, the auger style machines don't juice the root vegetables so well. They will leave the pulp fairly wet, actually. This machine is more efficient on root vegetables than this guy right here. So if root vegetables are like really high on your list, this isn't the machine for you, unless you have to compromise because you want easy to clean and you're going to juice root vegetables, but you're also going to juice leafy greens, then this guy might be the one for you. Unless your fruits, if you say, John, I want to juice like 60% of what I'm juicing is fruits, don't get this machine. This machine will basically back up on fruits when juiced alone. But if you're going to juice fruits with your vegetables, at least like 25-25 or 50-50, like hard vegetables, leafy greens, and 50% fruits, if you alternate feed, and that's most important for any of these machines on this side, is you alternate feed. So you put a piece of pineapple, you put some, kale in, you put a carrot. You put some pineapple, you put some, kale and a carrot. And then it's going to work fine. But if you put all the pineapple, I've done this before, the pineapple will start backing up because you're trying to juice straight pineapple. A way around this is to juice pineapple with some roots. So juice pineapple, carrot, pineapple, carrot, pineapple, carrot. Then it's going to work great. And also you've also made your pineapple juice more nutritious by getting the beta carotene in from the carrots. And if you can, try to find those purple carrots. So yeah, the fruits not optimal. This guy also very quiet when running. 15-year warranty. It's just a solid performer. The main thing you got to look out for with this machine, on this machine there's no wearable parts, so the auger for the most part shouldn't really wear unless you're like using your juicer 5 times a day or something like that. I've rarely seen any kind of wear on the augers unless it's like way many years later, and they're basically non-replaceable. So unlike the screen on this machine, the auger and the screen don't need to be replaced on this machine unless they break or there's some kind of issue with them. In which case, if it's broke due to no fault of your own, like don't jam in forks or knives or don't use anything else in the juicer other than the pusher and produce, if it broke due to no fault of your own, then it should be covered under the 15-year warranty. And that's the reason for getting a long warranty, is because, mark my words, within the 15 years, maybe even a few times within that, depending on how much you use your juicer, the screen is the most likely thing to break on this machine here. The motors are usually pretty durable, but the screen can break, and this is especially a problem if you're juicing something like wheatgrass or a lot of leafy greens, and then you're basically trying to feed things in too fast and not taking your time. So that's this machine here. Next, and this makes a good quality juice, like better for nutrition-wise, better than the Breville, but not quite as good as the Green Star Pro. I'll put a link down below to a video where I actually compare all these juicers juicing cucumbers and also the celery, 2 popular items that the medical medium recommends to juice. And actually in my cucumber video, you could really see the difference in the color for me. Like this was the lightest color, this had the deepest, richest color. Yes, in cucumbers, which are like almost clear in the middle, but they're green on the skin, and that's all the chlorophyll. This machine was most efficient at pulling out more chlorophyll and nutrition, in my opinion, based on just looking at it, but then also from manufacturer supplied data that I've seen and I have made other videos about as well. So yeah, this will get the highest nutrition. So if that's like number 1 on your list, highest nutrition above all else, then you're probably going to want to get this machine. Some negatives about this machine is that the feed... and let me explain how this machine works. This is the Green Star Pro. Also the Green Star Elite works the same way as this machine, except the Green Star Elite, there's about 10 things that are different with the Elite and than the Pro. I would say go for the Pro if you guys have the extra money. If not, you could go for the Elite. Basically, you're going to get the same quality juice, about the same yield. This Pro just has actually all stainless steel gears, which are really nice because I have seen the plastic on twin gears before crack after many years. But yeah, these are all stainless steel. That also has to improve cooling in the motor and some other things. This is basically a commercial model. So how this machine works is you put the produce in and then basically gets ground up to these twin gears. Now these twin gears are a lot more efficient at basically grinding up and with these cutting teeth and pocket recesses. It's a lot more efficient at basically cutting up and breaking open the fibrous cell walls of produce. And that, I believe, is one of the reasons why this machine will produce a higher quality juice than like just an otherwise regular auger juicer, because it's more efficient at the grinding, exposes more nutrients to allow them to come out in your juice. In addition, what you guys can't see in here, and some of you guys may appreciate this and some of you guys may not, I'm under the understanding that I appreciate this next fact, that this has a far infrared and bioceramic technology, magnetic technology inside the gears. So they say that this technology pulls out more minerals out of the juice when you're making it because it's attracted to these magnets. I don't know if that's really true or not. I know that our Earth is magnetic, and I believe that to be helpful. And based on the testing data I've seen, this machine does pull out more minerals than, say, even a Norwalk style juicer or a Champion style juicer, although I have not yet seen comparisons between like the twin gear to the single auger. But if I'm not a betting man, but if I did, I would definitely put money on this machine to make a higher, more mineral rich juice, just due to the extraction process of the better grinding and also this the far infrared and magnetics inside the gears. Now the other thing about this machine, super easy to assemble, right? Minimal parts, also minimal parts to clean. This machine, there's like lots of parts, a little bit more challenging to assemble here. You got to actually line up the gears. You don't have to really line up the gears on that or line up the auger. You just kind of stick it in. So you got to line that up and put it all together, and everything snaps on into place. Now, the benefit to this machine is that it will get the highest yield on the root vegetables of all the slow juicers that I'm sharing with you guys today. The other thing is that it's, as I mentioned before, will get the highest nutritional quality in the juice. This juicer will also really juice the leafy greens well when juiced with root vegetables. But if you try to juice leafy greens in this machine alone, like just straight kale or something like that, it'll juice great, but the problem that happens is that it makes excessive amounts of foam, in my opinion. I mean, I've had videos on this before, you guys could look them up. But basically, the more foam when you're creating in a juice, it's kind of like maximum oxidation or aeration, right? We want to minimize that. And due to the twin gears, and when you put a leaf in between the twin gears, there's not a lot of produce to fill the gaps, so then basically it kind of mixes in air when you're juicing. So this could be solved if you're juicing leaves with root vegetables, or even fruits, right? Juice a leaf, juice a root vegetable, or some fruit, whether that's a fruity vegetable or a fruit. That'll take up some of the space in between the gears, so that will cause less foaming when you're juicing your greens. I'd say if you're juicing, like, I would do minimum 50-50 would be pretty solid, like minimal foam. If you did like 60-40, like 60% greens, 40% roots, you'd probably be all right with that. But yeah, this one's the best slow juicer that I'm sharing today. For the root vegetables, we'll juice the leafy greens quite well. You could use wheatgrass straight, although once again it does make a lot of foam. Also the sprouts and microgreens do really well. Now fruits, this is another juicer that has challenges with fruits. I have a video specifically, if I remember, I'll put a link down below, where I juice fruits in this machine. Depending on the fruit, how firm the fruit is, what the fruit is, it may work really well, or it actually may not work so well. So pineapples generally don't work so well in this machine. Watermelons will generally work fairly well. Oranges that are peeled will work really well. Lemons and limes will work really well. Now I'm talking about when you're juicing these fruits alone. So you just want to make 100% pineapple juice, right? That being said, this style machine, although it doesn't like juicing fruits alone, if you juice fruits with another vegetable, like carrots or root vegetables, or even leafy greens or celery, maybe even better, this machine's going to do fine. The problem is the texture. Slow juicers generally don't like soft textures, right? They generally back up and get stuck in the juicer, because most of these juicers were designed, and I've been to some of the factories over in Korea that make these machines, they designed them to basically work with carrots. They test them judiciously with carrots, trying to maximize the juice in carrots, and maybe they don't use their produce items, not even leaves, as much as I'd like them to test over in the factories when they're doing their R&D, from what I've seen on my visit. So yeah, with fruits, So cons of this machine, oh yeah, worse cleaning. Well, I don't want to say worse cleaning, manufacturer might get mad at me, but you know, I will say it's a more complex cleaning. The manufacturer might say it's easy to clean, and I guess if you know what you compare that to, but I would say, you know, this machine takes the most time for me out of any of the machines here. How much time is that? I mean, it could take me up to 5 minutes to clean this machine. You know, there's just a lot of little nooks and crannies and things that need to be clean when you're done, and I do always encourage you guys to clean your juicer right after you're done juicing, so that the parts don't get stained and you know, pulp does not cake in and harden, right? That's the worst thing. So cleaning takes more time, and then juicing, you know, juicing will take some time in this machine because once again, just like this machine, you have to push each item in to the machine. Another criteria that might be important for you to use is you want a machine that's self-feeding. Actually, that's that guy. But this guy's not self-feeding, especially if you're juicing carrots. You have to put the carrots into those twin gears to really grind them or shave them down. Think of like a belt sander. If you guys are a guy, right? If you're a guy, if you put a piece of wood on the belt sander, you got to hold it against the belt sander so that it actually makes contact and actually grinds, right? Or you know, sands it, right? If you just put it there and just hold it haphazardly, it's not making contact and it's not going to basically sand your wood. Same thing with this. You literally need to push carrots into the machine. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. I have videos where I'm doing it with like one finger, but if you're older, have arthritis and all this kind of stuff, this is definitely not the machine you want to get because it might be too hard to use for you guys. But on the other hand, you know, I had a girlfriend who was like 90 pounds and 5'1". You know, she stood up on like a little milk crate and sitting there and juicing stuff with no problem. You know, so it just kind of depends. But that's, you know, I like to everybody be aware of that. This does take a bit more time to use, and you know, can be hard to push in, but you will be rewarded with the highest yield in many cases and the highest nutrition, you know, based on my testing. And this is basically this machine, based on my testing and what I'm aware of, will produce the highest quality juice on the entire market. So like if you're trying to recover from a disease and you want the highest quality nutrition, this is it. But that being said, don't shoot yourself in the foot, because this is harder to clean. You know, I've sold these juicers to some people that like, yo, yeah, I'm gonna juice, I want the highest nutrition, but then they get it, and then like a couple months later, they kind of fall off juicing, and then they just don't juice because it's too hard to clean, so then they just don't juice anymore, and I think that's quite sad. And then they come back to me again, and then they buy a different juicer. So I'm letting you guys know this in advance, so you guys can't be mad at me. This does take some time, so unless you're one of those type A committed, like, I'm gonna do it no matter what, if you're kind of on the fence, like, John, I want the most nutrition, but I really don't like the cleaning, then you might want to steer clear of this guy, right? I mean, oh, another feature that you guys might want is that the juicer could make more things than just the juice, right? This machine and this machine comes with a blank attachment. Actually, this one could make mochi, sorbet, like frozen fruit sorbet. You could grind up like, you know, things in here for salads. You could basically grind up ice in here, grind up your herbs and whatnot in here, grind coffee in here. Same thing with this, you know, you could make your own nut butters and whatnot. So these guys have some multi-uses, which also may be important criteria for you. So I think we covered like some of the cons of this machine. High price, so this guy will set you back a pretty penny. It's the most expensive machine today, but you know, luckily it still has a 15-year warranty. Slow to use, hard to clean. On the pros, highest nutrition, and in general, you know, highest yield, because it gets the produce the driest with this outlet adjusting knob that you need to basically set all the way in. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and you have to feed things in. Might take a bit longer to juice, and of course longer to clean. So that lays out that guy for you. All right. Then last, on to my favorite juicer, which is the Omega VSJ843. And this one is kind of like this guy right here, runs at a low and slow 80 revolutions per minute. Oh yeah, this guy runs at like 110 revolutions per minute. That's really slow. This guy works a little bit different. So this is actually a horizontal auger. And how this works is you put things into the feed chute right here, and then basically it drops into this auger, which is running up and down, so that's vertically. And as something goes in, this auger comes around and hits it, and basically it takes it and it compresses it into a smaller and smaller space, crushing and squeezing and grinding the produce out. And as it does, the juice is released out the side of the screen into this bowl, which then comes out this spout here, and the pulp goes through the middle of the screen, which comes out a little hole and is ejected on the side here. So, you know, I like this style machine because basically it gives you like more of the speed of the high-speed machine, although it's not that fast. But it's faster than this guy. But also gives you the nutrition of this guy, of a slow juicer, which is really important to me. Other reasons why I like this machine is because it is auto-feeding. Very important, right? I could take a carrot, drop the carrot in there, leave it running, and the carrot feeds in itself. It goes chunk, chunk, chunk as the machine goes around. Gravity pulls the carrot in so that you don't have to push it in. That's something actually I personally don't like to do. I don't like pushing produce in. I'd rather just drop a carrot in and I'm sitting cutting things up and I'm dropping it in. I mean, that's another con of this machine, is that if you are juicing leafy greens or celery in high volumes, you need to pre-cut them. I'll repeat that. You need to pre-cut the celery or leafy greens in a 1/4 inch, or even better yet, 1/8 inch pieces across the grain to juice them properly in this machine. Otherwise, this machine will jam and clog up. Actually, that could be another criteria. I always come up with these new criteria. Our criteria could be, John, I just want an easy juicer. I don't have to think when I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I just want to put the stuff in the juicer and go to work. I don't have to think about chopping or rotating or putting this in first, then putting in that and putting in that. Well, let me tell you guys, if you guys know how to use your iPhone and make a couple phone calls and send a text message, you have to learn how to do that. It's not hard to learn how to use a vertical juicer. I'll put the link down below, to a video I did called Juice Like a Pro in Any Vertical Slow Juicer. It's basically my 10 tips on how to use one of these properly. But if you guys don't want to have to think about these things and want to be just a no-brainer, you just want to put things in, maybe you're elderly like my parents, I got them this machine because this is a very forgiving machine. This is not very forgiving. If you mess up, the top could get stuck on and it could be bad news. But basically I like this machine because it's like a no-brainer, easy machine. You basically put stuff in, as long as you rotate, you don't have to pre-cut your greens. You basically just put it in, push it in, the juice comes out and you're done. This is a little more complex, but still not as complex as maybe using this guy. Rotate your stuff as you're putting it in there and pretty much it works, okay? So yeah, this guy, you need to pre-cut your greens. You should also rotate, and especially if you're using a vertical juicer, you need to have enough root vegetable content, right? If you're not juicing at least 40% root vegetables, this is not a good machine for you, unless you're going to be juicing high volumes of fruit. So of all the machines, the slow machines on the table, this machine juices fruits the best. Now fruits are best eaten whole or blended in my opinion, but if you do want to juice them, select hard and firm fruits, and this is the best machine at juicing them based on my testing, and I've tested a lot of juicers, and I like to juice a lot of fruit myself, so whether that's cantaloupes or watermelons, or I think I've even juiced jackfruit, which I don't recommend, doesn't make a lot of juice, mangoes, the strawberries, blueberries, this machine will juice it. That being said, especially on the berries, I recommend blending them or eating them, because if you put them through a juicer, you're going to get some juice out, but you're going to get a lot of pulp, and the pulp is still rich in some of those phytonutrients. So literally, in my opinion, you're wasting your money. Now, if you get cheap apples for 50 cents a pound, like I do, organic, sometimes, I don't care about juicing all the apples I can. That being said, apples can be problematic in any slow juicer, so you want to select hard and firm apples, otherwise you will make an applesauce instead of an apple juice. In that respect, actually, the Breville is best for juicing soft apples, or even better than the Breville would be that $2,300 press-style pure juicer that we sell. That machine is surely the best for juicing fruit, but for slow juicers, actually, this guy is it. Root vegetables. Root vegetables not optimally juiced in this machine. They can juice, they will juice, but it does leave a wetter pulp on root vegetables, much like this machine. And I'll be honest with you guys, I juice carrots, beets, and pineapple and ginger on a regular basis. It's one of my favorite recipes. And basically, when I took the pulp and pressed it out in a different style machine, it made, in the pure press, actually the hydraulic press, I got 46% more juice. That being said, there are simple ways and techniques you guys can get more juice out of the pulp that you generate in the juicer, including feeding it back through the machine, which can work to some extent depending on what your pulp contains. And also I have another video how to get up to 25% more juice out of your pulp. I'll post a link down below to that video should you guys want to review it and see how I do that. So let's see. Yeah, so fruits is really good. I like this machine because it's a compromise between fast to clean and fast to use. So this one is the fastest slow juicer to use, when making your juice. And also, it's not that hard to clean. This one takes me 3 minutes to clean. I like this vertical juicer better than any other vertical juicer on the market because it actually has less nooks and crannies and little gears and things that have to be cleaned or washed. And so I've timed myself, I could clean this machine in 3 minutes flat. So yeah, that's about double the time of this guy, but then I will be saving at least a minute and a half because I'll be juicing you know, be able to juice a lot faster. And this, when I'm cutting and preparing, dropping things in, and it's auto-feeding itself, and I don't have to basically push each produce item in. Of course, depending on how much you're juicing, you know, we'll save more or less time. If you're just doing one glass, you're not going to save as much time as like me, whereas today I think I made like 7 quarts of juice. And you know, adding up all that time definitely saves me time when I get to basically drop things in and let the machine run while I'm doing other tasks in the kitchen, all right? So yeah, this is basically your all-around, well-rounded machine. It's going to pretty much juice everything under the sun fairly well for the most part. Just need to rotate your items. Make sure you look at the video down below, Juice Like a Pro. This one also has a 15-year warranty. And let's see, fast to use, fast to clean, and makes the nutrition on par with the NC800. So that's like right under this. So this is like, these are like the second highest nutrition, and it's still way higher than this guy based on test data I've seen. And also fast to use and fast to clean. So I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think, oh, and then this guy doesn't have any other functions technically, aside from making juice, although I do have a video, I'll post a link down below to that. You can make sorbets and nut butters using the juicing screen, and that is an approved warranty claim from Omega if you use it properly, as I show in my videos. That does work. Yeah, the other thing that may be important for a lot of you guys, we didn't mention this earlier, I always come up with new things, criterias. Counter space. Maybe some of you guys live in New York City and live in an apartment no bigger than the room I'm in now. And so this guy, you know, the vertical juicers take up a lot less counter space than this guy. I mean, the Green Star Pro takes up about twice as much counter space as a vertical machine, because this one's going up and down, and this guy's like taking a big footprint on your counter. Of course, this guy's a little bit smaller, but the vertical, you know, smallest, even less footprint, I'd say, than even a high-speed machine, because you got that big catch bin, and whereas this, the catch bin store off to the side when you're not using it. I mean, another criteria for you guys might be, John, I want to make nut milk, right? Well, this machine is the machine I use to make nut milk. I have a video I'll post down below to make nut milk. Then I would use this machine as second best. This machine will also work, and I would not use the Omega NC800 due to the first stage screen. You'll get a lot of pulp in your nut milk. It's not really going to work for you. That being said, I really want you guys to focus on the features that are most important for you in selecting a juicer, and try not to worry about like making nut milk or I want to make nut butter too, John, or all this stuff, because when you start doing that, you start having as many criteria as you have, and then you have additional criterias, and then again it gets hard to like which one of these models will best meet your needs. Hopefully this video today has shed some light on the subject. Hopefully you guys got your criteria list. Hopefully after going over some of the pros and cons of these machines, you guys are aware of, I didn't even talk about like this machine, best at juicing fruits, you know, juices the roots, average, and also this one does actually really well at the leafy greens. Not to say that it's going to, you know, do as good as this, because this is actually a clog-free leafy green experience. This one can juice leafy greens and make a fairly good yield, equivalent to this approximately. But this may also clog when juicing a lot of leafy greens, so it's not recommended if you're juicing a lot of leafy greens without the roots. Once again, make sure you watch the video, Juice Like a Pro in any vertical slow juicer. So yeah, there you have it. I mean, this is my favorite juicer overall, and for most people that don't know what they want to juice everything, I'd say go with a vertical style overall, and the Omega VSJ is the one I would choose. Although there are other models on the market, we sell the Slow Star, which also has its own pros and cons compared to the VSJ, and also the Kuvings, you know, with a wide feed chute. Some people like the wide feed chute, you know, because it makes juicing things like apples and tomatoes easier, although just because it has a wide feed chute, it still means you need to pre-cut your greens because it is a vertical juicer after all, as well as your celery. But hopefully this video helped you guys narrow down the type of juicer actually that you may want to buy. And also, more importantly, you guys have your criteria written down as well as your percentages of produce. And if you still are wondering, John, what's the best juicer for me? You know, I watched your video, I wrote down my criteria, but I'm really not sure. Hey, send me a message, email me. For all my customers in the USA, I do a free service where I will help guide you and lead you to the right juice, because to me, you know, it's not just about selling juicers, which yes, I need to pay my light bills, and if you guys enjoy this video, please support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. I need people to buy my produce, pay my mortgage, and all this kind of stuff. So your support is welcomed and needed, so I can continue to do my mission on educating people about the power of fruits and vegetables and how to get more of them into them by using the best appliances, and more importantly, getting the right appliance for you. I know how much the right juicer could mean in your life, right? For many years, I didn't have the right juicer for me. I didn't juice as much as I should have. I compromised my nutrition I was getting because I was using a high-speed machine. You know, I wish when I got into it, there was somebody like me explaining all this stuff so that I could get the right juicer the first time. Because I know that once you get on the juices, right, you will start to feel better. You will feel the benefits of the fruits and vegetables going in you in the most easily assimilable way possible, with all the maximum amount of phytonutrients that are going to help your body cleanse, shed weight, heal, all those things it does. I mean, that's why I got into it. I literally saved my life by juicing and turning my diet around, and I know it could help you guys too. And that's why I'm committed to, taking time and have over 500 videos on this channel, more than anybody else in the world, on teaching people about juicers. Such a niche topic, right? But it's like one of my passions. I love juicers. I love playing with them. I love getting a new one, and I love making videos to show you guys the world about juicing, and hopefully this has helped you. But reach out to me if you guys are still unsure. Give me your criteria. Give me your top 3, your top 5. Type in your top 20, whatever your criteria is, as well as your percentages of what roots, greens, fruits, and fruity vegetables and other vegetables you'll be juicing, as well as your criteria. Basically, I take the message, I'll read it, it'll go into my supercomputer of my brain, and then basically on everything I know and all the juices I've used, I'll be able to spit out or tell you, hey, based on what you're telling me, this is the machine that I would recommend for you. And then I'll recommend some videos you watch so you could compare, like, the VSJ to the Slow Star, this to that. I do make certain recommendations based on your specific needs, and so it's kind of a custom, tailored thing based on each person. I don't just say, buy this one. And sometimes I may need to ask you more questions to determine which juicer is the best one for you. So yeah, we might have a little bit of email correspondence there. So yeah, I'm available to do that for you guys so that you guys get the right machine the first time and become a lifelong juicer. More than anything else, aside from selling you juicer, which is important to me so I can continue to pay my bills, I want you guys to change your health, to turn your health around. I am only here today because I changed my diet, changed my health, and it changed my life and gave me a new lease on life to be here to do this work, to share this message with you. And I want, basically I want juicing and the benefits of fruits and vegetables to spread. And it ain't spreading from the top down. Basically, we need to get involved. You need to start juicing. You'll feel the benefits. You'll tell a friend. They'll tell a friend. And pretty much one of these days, hopefully, my dream is that everybody in the world juices and is eating more fruits and vegetables so that we can have a much better world and much healthier world because of that. All right, so I guess that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Also, be sure to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Links are down below to the videos that I've shown with you guys today in the description. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes I've come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or will be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified of my new videos as they come out. I think upcoming I have a video on a brand new vacuum blender, DC power, that should kick some royal hiney. And then also be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Make sure you check in the description, some of the links to the videos that I've referenced in this video, so you guys could check up on those. I have more videos in the world than anybody on the juicers, and I do that basically just to make sure you guys get the right one for you. Plus, I love being the juicing geek and testing all this stuff. All right, and I guess so with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.